7 years. And at IBM, when I left, I was leading the small and medium business for storage products. And we had a lot of different products, doing backup and recovery, flash copy, space management, whatever it may be. And I had a team of developers for each one of those products. And we had different platforms, but we had the same framework that we had to follow. I mean, we had the same rules and things that we had to do. And working with so many developers, this is something that I found out about developers. And it's true to me, in my experience, and I don't think I'm the only one. What I found out was that there are awesome developers, and there are not so awesome developers. And the gap between the awesome developers and the not so awesome developers is quite wide. But it's very hard to distinguish who, in paper, say I get 100 resumes, I won't know. I won't know who's the awesome developer, and I will not know who's the not so awesome developer. Because the awesome developers are fast. Awesome developers are dependable. You can say, listen, can I want something that goes like this and like that? And they're like, oh, okay. They'll try something new. They're willing to go outside their comfort zone to do something else. They tend to be able to code in different languages, not just in one language. Not so awesome developers are a little more scared maybe of going outside what they know. Whatever project you give them, if they know C#, they're always going to route it back to C#. This has got to be in C#. You're like, well, no, why don't we try Java? No, this has got to be in C#. Why? Because they feel comfortable with that. They don't feel comfortable going outside the norm. They're much slower. They don't provide you what you want right away. It seems like it takes a lot longer. And in the back of my mind, when I was working with all these developers, when I was working with a not so awesome developer, in the back of my mind, I would always go, oh, I wish I was working with Michael. Oh, I wish Pete was doing this for me. Of course, you don't say that out loud, but you think it. And when you're thinking that you would like somebody else to be working with you, they might be part of the not so awesome developers. So as we were talking about developing a new company, I was thinking, yeah, but I really want to find the awesome developer. And looking through the internet or looking through resumes is not going to help me. So how am I going to solve this? Because I just want a couple. I just want a few. I want the best. I want the Marines, right? I want the really good people. And how do I know what they look like or who they are? And so I happen to be really sci-fi. I don't know about you, but I love sci-fi movies. I love sci-fi books. And I started talking about the fact that in movies, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's called The Last Starfighter. It's 1980s. Most of you might not be, or you were born in the 1980s. But I was. And this movie, if you can find it, is super, super fun. I mean, right now, if you were to watch it, it's completely dorky and hilarious, and you'll enjoy it. But at the time, he was solving the problem. There is this Coda Armada, and they're having a battle. And they are trying to find the last starfighter, the one pilot that can beat the evil people, the evil aliens. And so what do? They develop a game. And they send this game in mass to the world on Earth. And then they're hoping that on Earth, somebody's going to figure out how to play this game, and that be the last starfighter. So, yes, when in this game, yeah, the person didn't just start playing the game and became the starfighter immediately, right? They practice and practice and practice the game, but you can tell if you've got it or not got it. And in this game, this guy, Alex, he's got it, and he becomes the last starfighter. Now, 25 years later, I don't know if you guys are into Stargate at all, but in Stargate, they're doing the same thing. They need to figure out the 9th chevron, right? And so they go out and they send out this game to everybody, and all the little hackers and all the gamers are cranking out, trying to figure out the 9th chevron. And it's the same thing. The guy, Eli, he figures out the chevron. And so he gets beamed up to the spaceship, and you're the last guy, you're the guy that can take us through the next step that we want to do. And so that's what I decided I wanted to do. I wanted to build a game so that I could figure out who the last starfighters were among the Earthlings, right? So I'm looking for the last starfighter. So what I decided to do was to build a game. And my game is focused or to programmers, to developers. That's my main user. The gamer that I'm developing this game for is coders. I think we're gonna find some hackers. I think they're gonna enjoy the game, they're gonna have fun with the game, and I think some of them are gonna be very, very good. Also some students. I think that students are really gonna enjoy it. But the main objective for this game is for it to be the most fun way to practice several languages. So that's the idea of the company that I developed, that I started. So what's the strategy? The strategy is we're gonna have a game, it's gonna be really fun, you're gonna have rewards, you can have your friends over, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But if you're really good and you want to say, hey, listen, I just beat Chris on level 9, and you want to Twitter it, you want to put it in your Facebook, you can do that. But the thing is that it's delivering value. I don't know if you guys know about karate, but in karate, people do katas, right? They start doing katas to practice their skill in karate, to get better. And you never stop. Just because you know how to do karate or you know how to do a specific kata, doesn't mean that you stop doing it. You continue training to build that muscle memory, to just sharpen your skill. And it's the same thing with software. You have to do your software katas. And so this game is a way for you to do your software katas without you going out and trying to develop your own project or whatever like that. You can just come to me, to my game, and practice your software katas. Another thing is when you go to your interview, you might have an interview and you might have put on your interview, on your resume, that you're fabulous in Python and you're fabulous in Java. But you know what? You haven't done anything in Python for the last 5 years. So you might not be feeling so fabulous at the moment, right? So what you do, you come to me and you start practicing. You practice a little bit. You sharpen your saw so that you feel more comfortable when you go to the interview. You say, yeah, absolutely. I completely know what I'm doing in Python because I just spent some time sharpening my saw and I know what I'm doing there. So the approach is, we're gonna have paths in my game. A path is gonna be a language. So right now we're developing the Python path. And you're gonna have levels from 1 to X. But you're gonna get badges and you're gonna be able to play with your friends and invite people over or whatever to play. You're also gonna have rankings. We're gonna have worldwide ranking, country ranking or whatever. As we get more players, we're gonna be able to have corporate rankings, right? Google versus Yahoo, or maybe IBM versus whoever it may be. So that's going to be really fun, but you're going to be able to see what your ranking is. So this is what it's going to look like. We are going, just so you know, we're going to be launching later this year in June. This is basically what it's going to look like. It's got a very soft, very I think very hip look. You're going to have your information there. You're going to have all your current paths right there. The plan is for us to develop at least 10 really quickly. But right now we're just doing the Python one, which is the one that we're going to launch with. Then you're going to have all your badges, top rankings, and achievements, etc. And the main thing is once you go to Run Path, right here, then you're going to go to an open page where it's going to have a question for you. It's going to be fairly easy at the beginning of the game is fairly easy. It's going to taking you through, teaching you how to do the stuff, and at the end, as you continue up, it's going to get a lot more complicated, or not complicated, but it's going to take for you to actually know what you're doing. You're going to have to know more. You're going to have to understand the language very well to be able to progress up. And we're going to give you a demo when I'm finished with the presentation. Okay, so what challenges did we encounter? The main thing is that all these people are going to come and they're going to put untrusted code in my site, and that's kind of scary. So we need to make sure that we were ready for that. Also, we want to have a scalable game so that regardless of how many people were playing at a specific time, that the game would be up and running. So if it's just 10 people or if it's 10 million people, we want it to be adaptable. Also, we wanted to support multiple languages and enable users. For example, I've talked about the fact that I want to do at least 10 languages. I know what languages they are. But if somebody wants to do another language that maybe I'm not so interested about, like Haskell, somebody I'm really into it. I really want to do it. I want to open my API so that you can, if you're really into it, can do your own path, and you can just use SyncPath to run it with. And I built it in Google App Engine because it's scalable. It's globally scalable. The moment you are in Google App Engine, it's open for the world. And I want that. I want it to be open for the world. Because I believe that anybody, regardless of education, of class, of language, of what their resume looks like, I think anyone can become the last starfighter. And also right now, because we're in alpha phase, we're using the free CPU storage quota, which is awesome, but I will tell you what, I will totally have a party when I start paying, because that means that a lot of people are using my game, and I'm going to be really excited. Okay, just a shout out to Google Analytics. I'm addicted to Google Analytics. If you are ever doing a company or anything like that, I completely suggest you do this. You can see what people from whatever countries are coming up and playing your game, when they came, all the statistics about that, which is really interesting. So I'm somewhat addicted, and I wanted to share my addiction with you. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a prototype of the game.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the chief guinea pig. And I can't work the projector. Okay, so hi, I'm Chris. I'm a computer scientist. I have a PhD in computer science, and in doing that, I had to learn a lot of different languages, object-oriented, functional programming, and I've actually forgotten more languages than I know at this point. But every now and then I get asked to come in, join in on a project, and whatever the syntax is, I forgot. So I actually like SingPath as a player, because if I've forgotten my Python syntax, I can just go through, and I know how to do all the computer science-y, algorithmy things. It's just, how do you do strings in Python? How do you do lists in Python? Just those little syntax things that I want to practice instead of having to just go through a book. All right. So I can't actually see this. What's up there? Yeah, because I can't. Yeah. Okay, I'll do it over my shoulder. Okay, so what we did is we took an open source text, how to think like a computer scientist in Python, worked with a local high school who were looking for a way to let their students practice Python as they taught new languages. And so a lot of the people who see in here are students who've been working their way through their Python course. Okay, and pretty much, you just come in right now. Once again, it's the prototype, so it's at singpath.appspot.com, which is all of your Google App Engine apps will start off at appengine.com. And you come in, and there'll be these different levels you can play. So for this one, I'll just say let's play. And what happens is you get this question. That's a pretty simple question, right? It's like, in this variable Bob, put thanks for the help. This is sort of a Python thing that looks what it looks like when you're typing something on an interpreter. And so as I can see here, oh, something's a little bit missing, so I have to fix that. Hit run, and if you got it correct, it goes through onto the next problem. This one's looking for me to put a variable in, 713 into this oops variable. If I don't, fix that, what happens is one of my test cases show all my public test cases. You can see, hey, I expected 713, I got 317, fail. So, I need to fix that. Hey, that passed, yay. And then, here we're getting fancy now with two variables, right? So, in case you need to have 7 in age, actually this is still 1, It's showing you also do integers, not just strings. So right now you answer about 3 problems, and I've solved these before, but you get a check mark each time you do. You move down, you get 10 problems, you unlock the next level. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so then, as you answer more problems, you move up in this ranking. So right now, here's me with the global ranking. I'm 18. To motivate myself, I got one of my hacker buddies, Kenny, right here above me, and this is Trent below, who just found out about the site earlier this week, and he's closing on me fast, starting to put the pressure on. Honestly, I probably won't work up the list until Trent passes me, and then I'll go in and I'll solve 4 more problems, which is what I've done the last 2 times. But now, one of the nice things about Google App Engine is, once you put it up and your app is running, anybody can run it from anywhere in the world. It runs just as fast in the US as it does here. There's really no difference that I could tell. I actually played with some students over the Christmas break, just making sure all the problems they were working through, there was nothing wrong with them. Worked pretty smoothly. We have flags in here now, so you can see there's a couple. Here's somebody from the US named Timmy. Tutor, who's here in town this week, actually played from Romania. And we've got Pasha from Russia hanging on with the last, Russian flag, getting ready to be bumped off by anybody in here who logs in and solves 3 problems, or will bump Russia off the list. Right? Okay, and so I have fun with that. Different things are going to motivate different students, different professionals. I don't think I'm actually going to be doing a Python interview anytime soon, but I like the flags. I mean, every time, we have PyCon coming up, Sandra will talk about that in a second, but as more people from Korea or Japan work up the ranking, I'll probably go find some Singapore players and see if we can knock them back off the top 50. So anyway, that's my demo. If you have any questions about the gameplay, I just recommend you try it yourself. It's pretty easy. Even if you're not a developer, I'm pretty sure you could work through level 1, and you never know, you might be the last starfighter and just not know it.
And he is my guinea pig. Every time I have ideas, I'm like, Chris, try this. He's very good about that. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to leave you with, okay? If you want to follow us at ThinkPath. We'll be sending out tweets about what's going on with us, competitions or new fun things that we're doing, or when we launch, or when we have a new language that we've finished up. The next thing, really, Pasha's he's a friend of mine, but he's only done 3 problems. You need to kick him out of the game, of the top 50. So anybody who kicks him out, I'll be really, really excited about that. Okay, now let me talk about PyCon Asia. PyCon Asia is the Python conference, and it's here in Singapore in June 6th through 11th. And we're going to be doing a competition. And we are going to, it's a tournament. We're using ThinkPath, and the winner is going to walk away with their own iPad. It could be you. It could be you. So if you practice from now until then, and then come to PyCon, really, you guys are laughing, I'm serious. It could be you. Come and play. And really, it's going to be really a lot of fun. So follow us and find out where we're going to be tweeting about the information about when it is, what day and what time. So follow us to find out more information. And last but not least, we're looking for sponsors for giveaways, for prizes. And so if you're interested in getting involved with us, we definitely want to give prizes to JC Poly and university students, and also to anybody who is the top-ranked person in their country outside of Singapore. And so if you want to help, interested in sponsoring us for prizes, email me, call me, smoke signals, anything. I'll respond to almost anything, okay? So, but if you have any questions about the game, let us know. We're interested to talk to you, all of you, and I think all of you will really, really enjoy it. And I want to hear if you like it or not. So if you're kind of not too sure about it, play anyway, and then send me a note. Tell me, anything that you have, any testing that I can do before we launch, any information that you can give me will be very helpful. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Chris. Let's just open the floor for some questions. Okay, first question.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. I think it's quite interesting idea and new. To solve the problem with finding a good developers, I think some people they will try to have different ways, like Stack Overflow. I think everyone's like developer like every day. So I think for your so actually evaluation based on the fixed set of the test, right? But it's not the dynamic, and how's the contribution going there on the Stack Overflow, right? Now a lot of people they use their account to show like to their potential employers that I'm doing good there and like expert in my field. I have answered a lot of tough questions through my experience. So how like with the SIGPAD like we can display that like the same way that we can express our expertise.
Okay, love the question. Thank you. And I love Stack Overflow. I think it's really awesome. And we've gone there to ask questions, and I thumb people up because they have good questions or good answers. So it's a really good site. The thing is this: they all come from a different perspective. And so when people play our game, they're going to start from the beginning, and they're not going to be able to get a badge unless they have a specific level of skill. And so as you continue up and more people play, my vision is that in 5 years, people are going to go, what level SIGPAD are you in your interview? That's what we're going to ask you. You're going to say, I'm a black belt. I'm a black ninja in Java. That's what I am. And they're going to go, oh, wow, black ninja in Java. It really does level you. You will be able to see that. And the future with businesses, they're going to get to know us. This is something that is important to me. Yes?
Commercially, what is your revenue model? Are you planning for this to be money generating, or are you just leaving it to that?
It is going to be money generating, but right now I'm not concerned about that. Right now, it needs to be a game, it needs to be playable, I need to build a consensus, I need to build a community, and that's what I'm focused on right now. The money will come, I know how it's going to come. Yeah. Yes. I got it, I'm planned out. Yes.
Hello?
That question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Your title mentioned Python and Django and how you develop, and I think most of us are interested in developing on Google App Engine. Could you just tell us a little bit about the challenges that you face and with Django and Python, and maybe if there are any performance issues that we should consider as well?
Okay. Yeah, you can.
So actually, I like Django because it's a framework that just sort of keeps your development sort of neat. One of the biggest things when you go to Google App Engine is you do need to realize it's sort of a NoSQL type of approach. If you're used to tables and joins and doing that way, I'd encourage you to read about NoSQL, think about things like MapReduce. How are you going to do things in more of a batch processing point of view? The other thing is when you're on Google App Engine, you get about 30 seconds to run any task. So how are you going to always break your tasks into smaller, tasks that can run in the background or chunk things a little bit at a time? Also just like in normal database work, you don't want to count 50,000 records multiple times, right? So you want to figure out how to do things like mem caching, sharding, counters, things like that. But other than that, I'd recommend, I like I do with a lot of people, go find a nice little Hello World Django on Google App Engine project, fork it off of GitHub, start, and if you can get over that initial learning curve, I believe once you do that, if you can support 10 users, you can support 10,000. Because all it's going to do is maybe run a little slower when we're doing those big counts of lots and lots of records. Does that answer the question?
So a follow-up to that, so would you recommend doing massively duplicated data in GAE? Since you have a limit of 30 seconds and you're saying batch, so wouldn't it make sense to duplicate all your data so that you don't have to scan through your data because you say a departure from SQL?
I would say it more like it's better to batch your data, so don't go grab 10,000 records,
Right.
Go grab 500 and save the next 500 for the next process you're going to call. So just sort of leapfrog through your data. The other way is if you understand how MapReduce works, that's the idea with MapReduce. The hard thing is moving the data around. So let's just copy our data and send it out to 1,000 different processors, let them do whatever they need to do with the data, and then send us back all the results, and then we'll reduce those. So yes, but more in a batch MapReduce type.
Okay, any more questions to speakers? Okay, two more.
So what are the other programming languages you intend to? What are the other programming languages? I see Python right now.
Next,
Awesome developers are supposed to play them.
next is Java, definitely. And I think we are kind of looking at I don't know if you guys know the Toby list, which are the most popular languages right now. So we're looking at those, but we're working with mentors and we're working with different people, and they tell us. And here in Singapore, we're going to have to do C. We're going to have to do a variation of C, and so that's probably going to be the third one. But I do have a list that I'm working with. But every time before we actually define which language we're going to do, we do quite a bit of work to finalize that.
And actually, if anybody wants to do an open source project and make a verifier, which literally is just one page of code, more than happy to help you make that, and we'll hook it up for the site. So effectively, you'll be doing all the compiling and running of the test, but then it'll play like any of the other languages do. So we can start doing that now if you're really, really interested, and you can't wait for Go to be introduced whenever.
Technical question. When the user submit an answer, a script, where do you run the script? In your own server or Google App Engine server?
Google App. Yeah, we have a verifier that leaves our site and goes to Google
How
App.
about untrusted code? Do you have a handler for untrusted code? For example, a user submit malicious code. Do you handle it or just run it as is?
No, we handle it. We're very careful with that person, absolutely, because they can put a loop that never ends, and then I just crash. And I don't want to do that. So yeah, we absolutely test it, send it away, run it there, bring it back. With a yes, you passed. Yay, go to the next question.
Okay, any last question to the speakers? All right, so let's thank the speakers.
Great, thank you.
Okay, the last speaker for our meetup today is the President of the United States. He couldn't come in earlier because he was taking exams. In fact, I just knew that he took 2 exams today. He's from SMU. He's the president of the SMU sub-club of the GTUG, the Singapore GTUG. Right? So let me just help him